Welcome to Courage on the Rocks, a space where stories flow like a good glass of whiskey. We're two best friends pulling back the curtain on all the conversations that usually happen behind closed doors.
From grief and love to dating, friendship, motherhood, and all the chaos of life in your 30s, we're diving into it all with honesty, humor, and a splash of courage.
This podcast is about real stories, ours, yours, and the incredible people we'll meet along the way. Whether you're here for inspiration, a fresh perspective, or just to hear from someone who gets it, we're glad you're with us.
So grab your favorite drink, hit play, and join us as we navigate the highs, the lows, and everything in between, one episode at a time.
Yeah,
Got
I
it?
just have to check like 20 times.
Okay.
Okay.
Making sure it's all good. What are we on? Episode?
6.
Oh my gosh.
Episode
6 already.
6. Woo!
Woo. We're getting into like
awesome.
both hands. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh. There it is.
Six hands. Right.
That's
Yeah.
funny. As you can see, we're not in our usual space.
No, we're not.
No, we.
Welcome to Joshua Tree.
Yeah, this is what it looks like, except for missing a couple of the actual Joshua trees behind us.
Yeah, we are staying at Auto Camp Joshua Tree. I don't know if some of you guys may have heard of them. It's a company that does Airstreams and cabins at different national parks around the United States. And we're here about 20 minutes outside of the national park.
Yeah, it's our first time staying in an auto camp, and it has met the bar. Like, we're super happy with it.
Yeah, for people who aren't campers, this is glamping.
Yeah, we do granola things. We are not super granola.
Yeah.
So we have thoroughly enjoyed being here. There's probably like 20 Airstreams around us right now. We're not in an Airstream. We are in, what the heck would you call this?
A cabin, trailer cabin.
Not like what you would think though as a cabin.
It looks like a trailer, but a really nice version of trailer.
Yeah. So it's been really cool.
We've been on spring break
Yes.
this week.
Yeah.
We are both on spring break. It's crazy. It's funny how our spring breaks aligned. So that was really nice.
Yeah, we decided to take not one but 2 trips and put them into one.
In 1 week.
And it's been a lot.
It has been. You know, it's funny because at the beginning of the trip, we spent the first part, like Monday through Wednesday, with my family in Monterey. Beautiful, great area. But, you know, just like every vacation, it has lots of energy and vacation drains you.
Yeah, it's always like you need a vacation from the vacation.
Absolutely.
And we did that. We
did.
We were in Monterey, we were taking a vacation, and then we decided, okay, we're going to take the vacation from that vacation and then make the group smaller. And it was just Liana, Chris, and Leo, and we went to Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
And now that we're coming close to ending that vacation, I need another vacation to
recover from it. It's been crazy of a week.
It really has been, and like it's supposed to be like this beautiful, relaxing, and it's been relaxing. We've been like kind of just not going by like a specific timeline, you know.
And I think that's okay. And that's what we needed too.
It's been really slow.
Yeah.
It's been slow. But it's interesting because like when we went on vacation, you go on vacation and get away from things, right? Usually work, whatever it is, to relax. And then like we did the relaxing, and I just found it interesting how like, oh, all these other things are now popping up.
Yeah.
So it's always stuff like you always are working through things. And
oh yeah. And I think also another thing we always tell our listeners as well, it's not like you can control what's happening around you. It triggers and events and life happens all around you. And even when you're on vacation, it happens.
Yeah.
It does.
So we had we came to Joshua Tree because
rock climb.
We wanted to climb. We wanted to take you guys out onto a crag with us.
Yeah.
So you can watch us, and
which we will show clips.
We do have clips.
We were recording it. We met up with a guide, Mojave Guides here in Joshua Tree, which I think we should tag him as well because fantastic company. Great guy, Ryan.
Yeah, you
super
were
awesome,
amazing guide,
respectful, and just knowledgeable. Loved it.
Yeah.
Took us right out to Joshua Tree.
One
Drove
of
us
the
out.
like prettiest crags I've actually been at.
Really?
Like, I think so. I was
Yeah.
really just shocked with like just like this beautiful slab of just gorgeousness.
Yeah.
In the middle of Joshua Tree, which is we're literally in a desert. But I just thought it was just really stunning to climb it, and like the variety and like diversity that it had.
Yeah, I love the different routes it had. You can
Yeah.
see the different levels. You can see the difficulty, the challenges. Such a unique feature.
Yeah.
Ones I don't think we've had an opportunity to try out.
Yeah, it was different. We recorded all of our climbs. We don't know if they're going to be plugged into this episode or if it's going to be a different
In the future,
episode.
it will be seen.
You will be seeing it. If you don't follow our Instagram, follow it at Courage on the Rocks. So that's where we're going to be putting some reels of our climbs too.
Yeah,
it was really cool because we mic'd ourselves during the climb, so you get to see you get to hear the internal thoughts that are slipping out of our mouths as we're like slipping off and blooding our fingers and are scared.
Oh yeah, and the times that when we're falling, we're like, shit,
yeah,
here we go. You guys all heard that.
Yeah, you heard every moment, which is, I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, the idea was, we met up with our guide. He was our age. He was very cool. We did the climbs, and Leon and I really wanted to interview him. So you guys we wanted to talk about Courage on the Rocks and like resiliency in climbing. And we had these really cool brief moments of like talking about that with him. Because if you're a climber, you know how relatable that is. Because resiliency is like so embedded into climbing, right? So the plan was to finish the last climb, and then we were going to clean up and sit on this gorgeous slab of rock, and have a stunning Joshua Tree view behind us, and interview and talk about it,
and do another episode right after the climb.
But things do not go to plan.
Never does, because when you plan something, God laughs in our face.
Yeah. Well, this one had some really unforeseen events that we could not control.
But before that, I do want to mention, on your very last climb, a group of gentlemen came to our area in our crag, and they had realized that we were recording some of our climbs and stuff. They're like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" And we were showing them and explaining to them about our podcast and Courage on the Rocks and resiliencies, and that we have encountered some trauma in our past life, and that this is how we're sharing it. It's really interesting when you got down from the climb. The second we had talked to them and expressed to them about this podcast, a very sudden event happened that relates so deeply that I mean, Mariah, you have to explain it.
To us.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was such a surreal moment. We just finished this really cool climb. We're talking to the guys about our podcast, cleaning up, getting ready to interview Ryan, and next thing you know, you just hear screaming. And one of the guys, in the group just like stands up and he's like, "You guys, do you hear that? Like, that's someone screaming." And he just books it. He just starts running in that direction. And we'll kind of had realized that there was a severe emergency with someone. And we're in Joshua Tree. It is a desert. You don't have access to just pick up a phone and call 911.
There's no cell service at all?
No cell service. So one of them went running to find a park ranger. Someone had mentioned that the newest iPhone had a feature, and Leona actually had the iPhone. So can you talk about the feature that actually helped?
Yeah. On the newest iPhones, it has an SOS feature on it, where if you are in a case of emergency, it connects to satellite nearby you, and you can call or text, whichever the connection is the fastest for them. So I connected to an SOS emergency, then they started texting me, "What's your emergency?"
I can't believe it worked.
The first time I was baffled. I was like, okay, this is working. And at the same time, I like for me, I heard some things about what was going on, and then also my brain was also like, okay, I'm not sure how much of it that Mariah needs to be involved in this, but I know like we needed to help because I had the newest phone. I was texting someone on the other side, emergencies, to tell them like, hey, there's something out here. We need you guys out here now. So I was trying to get in contact with them.
Yeah, it was interesting because at first when it happened, the first information that we got was that a girl had a seizure, right? So that's the information we're working with. She's able to get in contact with emergency services. Her phone is pinpointing exactly where it's at, so we needed to get her phone to that location. And as we start getting closer, like in my head, I'm aware of like, okay, like anything that's trauma related or like emergency services is a trigger. So I'm like aware of that, but I'm like monitoring my trigger, you know? And then as we get closer, we meet someone who was also looking for like a ranger, someone to help this person. And that's when we had learned, no, we met the best friend.
Yeah.
We met the girl.
The girl who was
with the girl.
Racing around trying to find someone.
And we had learned that the situation really was the fact that the girl who had a seizure was actually a rock climber.
She had fell.
She had fallen. She was a boulder. She had fallen, hit her head, and that they kind of had waited for like 30 minutes to see if she was going to be okay on whether or not they should they should leave or not. And within that 30-minute time frame, she began to have a seizure, seize, and she became unconscious. So we're navigating that. Liana's getting information from her, and Liana's moving towards the direction of where the girl is, and she kind of looks at me and she's like, you don't have to go any further.
Yeah.
Right. And I was slowly following behind you because we were in a national park. We had already left our guide. We were already getting farther away. Like in my head, I'm like, I can't leave Liana. I at least need to know where you're going to be.
Yeah.
But I didn't go any farther. I knew where you were at, like in a general direction, but I knew that like I couldn't walk over there.
Yeah. And I knew it was important that I told her like, I don't think you need to be part of this, but I knew I had to be because I was connected on cell phone wise to emergency services. So for me, I had to get closer. My location had to be pinpointed next to the patient because at one point they're asking like, are you next to the patient? Is she breathing? Is it like all of these other medical questions where I couldn't answer yet until I got to her location, but it was not a thing that like Mariah needed to be a part of.
I guess also for clarity, because we haven't really talked a whole lot about Jorge's death actually.
Yeah.
But so much of this, and we're gonna talk about it further, is directly related to the trauma of Jorge's death. As he had a brain aneurysm, and it was on a soccer field, and he needed immediate help, and he obviously didn't survive, right? But knowing immediately that she had a head injury and she was unconscious, I knew immediately she had a brain bleed, right? And so like she had to go in for a CT. If she didn't make it in time, which we were not anywhere close to having access to that, I knew she was gonna die. So like, and that's immediately how my brain is thinking of that. And so, I mean, I don't know what happened when you got over there, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much other information I need to give other than the fact that like there was a doctor with the group. So a lot of the things that he was directing, what he was telling them to do, I kind of let them be. In emergency situations, I think for me is more is not always better. And when you're in a national park where you have all different types of people, all walks of life, all different types of languages, we all understand when there's an emergency, but we all cannot communicate well enough if we are not best suited or educated or had been, trained in the field of it. There was a lot of communication and issues, areas, opinions, and a lot of things. I knew I just needed to be there because I had my SOS connected to it.
Yeah.
There, in all, though, at the end of this, the whole point is that the park ranger did come.
Eventually come, yeah.
Eventually came. We did see the patient. We did see her. She was looking. She was responding in some ways. But I didn't want to know anything further than that. All that, like, it was taken care of. She got to the park ranger. The park rangers came. First responders arrived, and she was taken care of that ways. My brain then automatically turned to, okay, that problem is solved. I cannot change with that. But I knew that maybe you might have seen. I definitely knew you had seen some things that, like, it's a massive trigger when you're seeing those kind of events. The chaos of it, the lights, the sounds, the people. Especially in a place of unknown as well.
Yeah.
And also our poor guide, Ryan, as well.
Yeah.
We're like, we need to end this. Unfortunately, we didn't get to interview him because of the chaos of it all.
Yeah.
We were definitely not in the headspace of let's just move on from this, sit down and recap our climbing. That was not the case for us.
Yeah.
So then she was taken care of. We went back to Ryan, our guide. We packed everything up, and then we said goodbye to Ryan on the trail as we were leaving. As we were walking away, I noticed that there were still lights and sirens and things, and I was like, you know what? This is a good time for us not to be there. I thanked Ryan. We knew how to get back out of the national parks, and we just turned around and went back and found another boulder spot area, hidden spot, to calm our bodies, to recenter, to really help take care of you as well.
Yeah, it was interesting, navigating that, because while we're doing it, I'm very triggered, but it's just like escalating. But as I'm trying to work through that, I'm also engaging with Liana, who knows my story and like knows me very well, and it was extremely helpful and wholesome, like, to be entering into this emergency situation, while also having her not only handle that, but also support me in the ways that I needed it, to make sure that I was, to remind me that, like, I didn't have to do anything in that situation, right? Because emergency situations, like, for most people, I think you're like, fuck, we need to help.
Yeah. It's like that bystander effect. Like, are we going to help, or are we just standing and watching? But
it is.
Yeah.
But it was a really big lesson for me to know that, like, I didn't have to do anything. And that choice wasn't a negative reflection. Like, I knew she was fine. I knew Liana was taking care of it, but I had to take care of myself. And I think that when you are, working with triggers, it's okay to choose you. And most of the time you should choose you, to make sure that you're okay, and not to put yourself in a position to help others when there are already a ton of people helping them, but help yourself, right?
Yeah.
But also being with someone, if you are a friend or a partner or a family member, and are close to someone who does have triggers, knowing how to help them, because for me, going through that experience, the reason why Liana chose to, like, not have us go back to the parking lot because of, like, the ambulance and the sirens, was because she knew, like, the visuals were really hard for me, and the auditory, right? So there was a lot of
noise.
There was a lot of noise and a lot of words happening, and that was really triggering for me because I could still hear everything that was going on, along with the fact that I did watch her body being carried out, right? She was not conscious at that time, right? Like, so I'm seeing these things, and they're, like, pulling in memories of my partner being unconscious and all of these things, right? And that was for the first time since his passing. So it's been almost 2 years that like I've actually had like a full anxiety attack publicly. And you were there to help and support me through that. In ways that I thought was so cool, because they were ways that my therapist taught me and I never had to do in a public setting.
Never had to apply it.
I've never had to apply it because I've never been triggered that intensely. And so I remember at one point, like, you just kind of like knew I needed to like let something out, because I was like bubbling up and not okay. And you just grabbed me and I was just sobbing and hyperventilating. And you were telling me like, you're okay, you're safe, you're loved. And you just kept on repeating it over and over and over again, right? And then we would kind of like, we calm me down, grab our bags, we were walking out, decided, music. You know, we plugged in, you had music ready to go. We put the earphones in so I wouldn't hear all the shit that was happening. And then when we chose to stop the second time, we had another, you know, panic attack. And when that happened, we pulled out the sour candies, right? Because sour candies are really helpful with anxiety attacks. And then you did the 5 senses with me, which my therapist taught me. I can't remember when I'm in that mode, but you literally like held out your hand and you said, okay, you know.
5 deep breaths, you know, 4 things that you can see, 3 things that you can touch, 2 things that you can hear, and the very last thing is 1 thing that you can taste. So right when we had the sour candy, I was like, nope, we're going to do these things first. You know, because calm your body and your mind, and then do your final taste, close your eyes, and just, relax.
So I think like knowing what skills you can use to either help yourself through a panic attack or extreme triggers, or help someone else through those things, to make sure that they know that they're supported and they're okay, and to help make sure that like you don't have to rush out of a situation, go to the spots that are safe, and then at your own pace transition out of that.
And figuring out things that would help them the best. I knew for you at that moment, it's just a hug and words, constant, because you are a verbal person. You need those words of affirmation. You needed that. So finding out and figuring out what they need in that moment to calm them down, to make them breathe, to, you know, just to ground them back centered, and figure like, okay, if you cannot find your center, I am your center right now. Like, I'm hugging you. Try to find this center. And then once we do that, then we can calm all of our other senses, and then get back to a place, you know, get back to Leo, get back to people we love and people we cherish, and just hold on to them. For that's what we did. You know, we just came back to our people, held on to them,
took naps,
ate, and just
like fed your soul, right? I was like so exhausted, like emotionally exhausted. Like I feel like after you get out of that, you go into like, you're exhausted and you're kind of numb, like, and your awareness to everything is like dull a little bit, you know? So it was really helpful to just like, Leo always grounds me. He's always grounded me since Jorge passed. So going to him, napping with him, eating, being with your people, you know? And, you know, we're not like back to normal, you know? But we did go back into the Joshua Tree because we didn't want to remember Joshua Tree by that. And I think we reiterated that later last night, talking about like, that can't be our last memory. That can't be. And I think for me, when I think back on this today, Leo finding caves, you know, searching for dinosaurs and playing on the rocks, learning how to rock climb, that's my last memory of Joshua Tree. And that will be it. I agree. So
our lesson for you today is
your mental health matters, so choose you.
Choose you.
Right? And show up for others in the best way that you can.
And learn strategies to get yourself through those emergency situations. Find if the 5 senses help you, breathing, eating, screaming, listening to music, whatever it is, try to figure out, because it will come in handy.
And you can't control your triggers. You can't, like, I work so hard on therapy and healing, and like, doing all of it. And you can't control things, but you can control how you prepare. You can control how you prepare, and I'm okay, right? And I pray that she's okay, and that's not our story to know. But this is our story, and we're sharing it, and it's got ups and downs, but it was still a really good experience.
Yeah, even on vacation. Yep.
Shit still fucking happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But thanks for joining, and we'll see you guys for episode 7. Crazy.
Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning into Courage on the Rocks.
Until next time, hold on to your courage, and we'll see you soon. Cheers!